Hi, it's Donna Guest, the Lazy Scrapbooker and Creative Memories Advisor. I want to show you a fast and easy way to make a rainbow for your page using just a few scraps of paper. So grab your circle cutter and get ready for some very simple math. The Creative Memories Circle Cutter is the most efficient way to do this. To learn more about the circle cutter, check out my video in the top right corner. The standard Beautiful Rainbow has 6 primary and secondary colors. For this page, I'm going to create a softer rainbow using only 4 colors. I want each section of this rainbow to be 3/4 inch wide. And I want them to cover as much of the page as possible. I'll start with my outside color, which is going to be pink. So that I have a decent margin on both sides, let's do this 11 inches wide. Using the side of the circle cutter that has inches, I'm going to adjust it to 11, which are the numbers in white. Twist to the left to loosen, place it at 11 inches, and then right to tighten. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Now I'm going to cut the outside of the rainbow arc. I'm going to center this as much as I can on my page. You have this black line right here that helps you center it at the bottom. I can just point that to the 6 since I have my paper centered on my 13 by 13 cutting mat. And as I hold this down, I can twist this without pressing the blade because my blade is up here. And I'm going to bring this down as well so that my black line is even with the bottom of my paper. So now with my left hand, since I'm right-handed, I'm applying pressure to this so it holds the paper in place. And remember, this is a 2-step process. To engage the blade, I'm going to press the white button in, and then I'm going to press down. And it's okay that my board is moving. There we go. Perfect. So I have all this paper left over. Now I could just layer these papers, but I want to be able to use this paper for something else. I like my albums to be lighter. So I'm going to cut the bottom portion of this arc, and then the rainbows will all fit together. So I am going to adjust this. Since I want the arc to be 3/4 inches wide, I'm going to need to double that number. The reason why is because I've got 3/4 inches over here and 3/4 inches over here. So those added together is 1.5 inches. And so I'm going to subtract 1.5 from 11, and that gives us 9.5. So I'm just going to move this down and center the line between the 9 and the 10 and tighten that up again. So now I need to center my paper again. And so it's easier to see, I can move this up a few inches. I'm centering right there between 1/2 inch and 11.5 inches. So this is 11 inches wide. And now that this is at 9, I'm going to place it. And again, applying pressure here, but not on the blade. Make sure my black line is lined up correctly. Looks good. And now I can cut the bottom portion of the arc. Okay, look how perfect that is. Now, I've got this paper to use on something else. We'll move this out of the way, and we'll move to our next color, which is yellow. So I'm keeping the measurement at 9.5 inches because the top of this arc, the outside, is going to be the same as the inside of this arc. So I just got some random sized paper here, making sure it is 9.5 inches. It is barely 9.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to center it up so that I know that I'm doing this correctly. There we go, and I fit it all in, because this paper is barely large enough. So making sure my lines are centered. Okay, and now I can cut. So now I'm going to cut the inside edge of this arc, which again is going to be 3/4 inches. So again, I'll need to double that measurement and reduce this by 1.5 inches. So I'm at 9.5 now. 9.5 minus 1.5 is 8. So we're going to take this down to 8 inches. And I'm going to center this again. Very important that I center it this time. Let's move it up here. So I'm able to do that by looking at all these wonderful grid lines on this fantastic mat. Okay, think I've got it. Now I've cut the bottom of the arc, and I can use this for something else. And as you can see, they fit in very nicely, and I've used very little paper so far. All right, so now we're going to go with our third sheet. I'm going to move this up so it's much easier to see as I center this. You can also use this hole that fits a pin to make sure it's going right across that. I tend not to do that when I'm on camera because I don't want you to have to see the top of my head. which is what will happen. So I'm going to cut this one. Okay, looks good. And now, again, what do? We subtract 1.5 inches. So from 8, we go down to 6.5. All right, centering this up again since my mat likes to move around. I've tried one of those non-slip pads underneath, but it just added so much height. I did not like it. Okay, looks good. And we'll keep going. Final color. Okay, I've kept the measurement the same. I didn't really need to center this, but it just makes it easier for me. Now this one I do need to center, so I'm making sure the peak is right there in the middle line. And now one more time, we're going to adjust this from 6.5 down to 5. Now I can attach all this on my background sheet of paper. I recommend Creative Memories Repositionable Tape Runner, the one with the green, because it allows you to easily move it if you make a mistake when attaching. To learn more about different Creative Memories adhesives and when to use them, check out my really old video in the top right corner. I'm going to start with the outside here, and we'll work our way in. The outside will make it a little bit easier to center this because I can easily see the margin on both sides. Just a reminder to hit like or subscribe to make sure you see all future videos and so this video is seen by more people. Now I'm going to check the other side to trim off any little bit of excess here. I love the results. I'm using this as the last page of a pet memory album for a friend, and I'm going to put the Rainbow Bridge poem here that I got online, and I printed it on this piece of paper. It's not quite vellum, it's not cardstock, it's not paper, but it looks really good against what I'm doing here. So I'm not worried about it not being acid safe because there's no photos on this, and I'm going to put it in a page protector. So, but what I did use on the back is the vellum tape runner refill. I know it's not vellum, but I have found that vellum works really well because it does not show through on a thin piece of paper. I found that out when attaching notebook paper in my son's school albums, that vellum does the trick because the regular tape runner shows through and sometimes even the repositionable shows through. So we'll put enough tape runner here. And then now the only decision, do I want it straight or do I want it tilted a little bit? I used a Creative Memories single pocket page so that at the very back of the album she can add any memorabilia for her sweet pup on the back page. There we go. And the other side for memorabilia. I'm so happy to finish this album for her. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know in the comments when you created your rainbow.